bathrooms because they have enjoyed them in their happy childhood. To document his case, the mayor contrasted his city with New York. At the beginning of 1873, Philadelphia had 134,740 buildings, of which 124,302 were dwelling houses, some 60,000 more than New York, and this despite the fact that the population of Philadelphia was less than 800,000, while New York's was more than 1 million. Philadelphia's citizens lived in a comfortably sprawling area of 12 square miles, crisscrossed by more than 900 miles of streets and roads, more than 500 of them paved. The city boasted 10,000 gas lamps, more than 1,600 schoolteachers, and more than 80,000 pupils, more than 34,000 bathrooms, most of them supplied with hot water, and more than 400 places of public worship. The Quaker city's well-stocked houses of prostitution were understandably omitted from the tabulation. Of all the cities in this nation, Philadelphia is preeminently American, the mayor continued after indicting these figures. Its characteristics and customs, the habits and peculiarities of the people are essentially American. If a foreigner were to ask me where will I find a real man untouched in his character and nationality by the ever-drifting tide of emigration, domestic and foreign, and with no taint of provincial narrowness, I would say, go to Philadelphia. And there you will find just such men and women by the hundreds of thousands. Having prepared this eulogy to the city, Mayor Stokely made his plans to get out of it. Shortly after the 4th, he would leave for Long Branch, a fashionable watering place on the coast north of Atlantic City. The mayor would spend the entire month there and return to the city only for brief visits to attend to urgent business. At that safe distance, he would probably read in the papers an account of the Total Abstinence Beneficial Societies, who planned to turn out in full force on the 4th, singing and praying in front of saloons, and of the meeting at Independence Square of Temperance Blessing, a group which had scheduled, in addition to a reading of the Declaration of Independence, the recitation by 2 young children of poems entitled The Inebriate's Ladder and The Drunkard's Tomb. He was also likely to note an advertisement which the advocates of prohibition frequently inserted in the Public Ledger, a newspaper run by the mayor's friend, William V. McKean. It drew attention to buttermilk, the great summer drink, and provided an address where that refreshing beverage could be obtained. The mayor had been mildly surprised recently when the Ledger took issue with a different type of prohibition, that against bathing in the city's rivers. Only a few days earlier, when city police arrested 21 persons in the Schuylkill, the paper had come to their defense, stating that bathing and swimming were good exercise, and that there ought to be as little hindrance to them as possible, especially as the authorities had failed to provide the means for those who had no facilities at home. The Ledger editorial contended that a dip in the river could not be technically prohibited if there were no exposure of the person, and advised that a first-rate bathing dress could be made by taking an old pair of pantaloons and cutting the legs off a little above the knees. In the same issue, the Ledger printed a notice from Police Chief Kennard H. Jones, in which he declared that the ordinance prohibiting the firing of crackers, rockets, and other fireworks would be rigidly enforced during the holiday weekend. Parents and guardians were earnestly requested to see that those under their control obeyed the ordinance. These were minor dampers on the buoyant mood which prevailed. Despite the police chief's notice, crackers and rockets were on sale throughout the day. At Fairmount Park, moreover, the schedule provided for a grand Oriental illumination and a grand ballroom ascension, as well as a grand 4th of July picnic.